The crow pose is a bent arm skill that translates especially well towards the bent arm stand and the handstand push-up. Eventually, this crow pose can even turn into the bent arm planche and the 90-degree push-up. The main muscles worked here are the triceps, the chest, and the shoulder muscles, turning this pose into a perfect addition to your upper body push day. Besides learning how to stack your body efficiently, it's an extremely beginner-friendly arm balance that will teach you so much more than just a cool new position to impress your friends, but it's actually the first step towards your handstand as your center of gravity is significantly lower. The crow pose is going to teach you the fundamentals of how to use your hands and especially your fingers in connection with the floor to gain control in arm balances and all handstands. If you're planning on learning the tuck planche in the near future, the crow pose is also going to be useful for you as you are training the same muscles and you're going to learn to commit to that forward lean. The crow is such a great beginner calisthenics skill because your body weight is not just supported by the strength of your muscles, but also by mechanical structures that you're going to be creating for yourself. You start in a deep squat position and we're going to place the elbow just above the elbow where the triceps hits the elbow on the knees. You want to slightly externally rotate your elbows so when we bend them later, they don't flare out and we don't slide off. From here, we're going to lean towards the front, placing the hands on the floor. Spread your fingers wide and keep your hands about shoulder width apart. Now, protracting the shoulder, we're going to lean towards the front and we're going to start bending the elbows. Really make sure you're protracted. I don't want to see you hang through here. Bend your elbows 90 degrees. Lift your head slightly, look towards the front. Keep transferring your weight into the fingertips and eventually your feet can simply leave the floor. Now here it shows how important it is that the elbows and knees are fully bent. So we have this good structure, this platform that we can rest on. Now I can decide here by pushing more or less into the floor with my fingertips to move my position around. But as soon as my weight drops towards the back, I'm simply going to fall and there's nothing I can do about it. It's also essential that your knees and elbows are bent. If your elbows are not far enough bent anymore and your face travels away from the floor, the platform that your knees are resting on disappears and your knees will simply slide off. It is exactly the same for your knees. If you start to straighten your knees in the crow pose, this platform goes away and you will fall out. Interesting to mention here is that the height of the head and the hips is directly related. If your head travels up away from the floor, your hips have to travel down and vice versa. Before getting started training for the crow pose, work on your pike push-up negatives and pike push-up bottom hold. If you're able to hold the pike push-up bottom hold, you already have more strength than what you actually need in order to master the crow pose. If you cannot hold this bottom position of the pike push-up just yet, don't let this hold you back. Start training the specific alignment, coordination and balance of the crow pose right away, whilst in the meantime investing heavily into your upper body pushing strength. With this setup discussed earlier, start transferring your weight from your feet into your hands slowly and while staying fully in control at all times. Make sure you practice holds to train the specific isometric strength that you're going to need to hold your crow pose. Elevating your feet will allow you to get closer to the actual crow position whilst keeping your feet fully on the floor the entire time, allowing you to feel safe and secured. Once you feel comfortable holding these crow leans, start taking one leg off the floor at a time. Bend the knee fully and connect your heel with the glutes. Make sure you practice both sides, elevated and on the floor. If you feel confident in your hands and during these progressions, you can add dynamic crowd takeoffs into the training. They're not necessary to get your crow, but they can be beneficial. The idea is to create more momentum whilst transferring into the hands so your feet actually leave the floor. Now, of course, the problem with momentum is that there is a chance that you're going to fall over onto your face. So this progression truly is not for everybody. But if you are planning to learn the crow handstand push-up or the 90-degree push-up in the future, this progression can be extremely beneficial for you. The final progression for the crow are single leg takeoffs to crow. Once again, start with your feet elevated and then work your way down towards the floor. A big limiting point holding athletes back from learning the crow is the fear of falling over. If you're worried about falling onto your face, you're not going to be able to commit your weight into the fingertips, which means your weight is going to stay in the back of your hand and you're constantly going to fall back towards your feet. The best way of dealing with this fear is by tackling it head on. We want to practice knee-elbow supported headstands to crow and back. Start with your head and feet elevated so you can stay in contact with the floor at all times. Eventually, get rid of the foot support and then start working your head closer to the floor day by day. Make sure you use a mat on the floor to soften the placement of your head and place the center of your head on the floor and not your forehead. Your hands should be exactly in the same position as we set them up earlier when talking about the setup for the crow pose. This progression is outstanding not just to gain control in the front half of the crow movement, but also to learn about weight distribution and how control works in general. In your knee-supported headstand, push your fingertips into the floor and let the weight travel towards the back of the hand. Use your back and core to pull up and you arrive in the crow pose. If you only push a tiny little bit too far, you're straight away going to fall out towards the back, as on this side of your hand, you do not have fingers. The headstand to crow truly offers an exceptional opportunity to learn how precise these small correction movements have to be and how your weight constantly has to stay in the fingertips in order for you to stay in control. Another reason for the fear of falling over might also simply be a lack of strength. If your body is scared that you will collapse onto your face, it might be onto something. Allow your body a little bit more time. Invest into building more shoulder strength before revisiting the more advanced crow positions. You can use the elastic, L handstand walks, wall walks, or really anything related like pike push-ups or shoulder overhead presses. All of those progressions will also help you build additional wrist strength, which of course you're also going to need in order to control your crow. If you feel like you're lacking wrist strength for the crow, practice overhead elastic wrist curls, which is truly the best progression to build handstand and arm balance specific wrist strength. If you're new to the crow, please make sure you always practice with a pillow under your head to make sure in case that you do fall over, you will land softly. Additionally, don't forget to always warm up your wrists and shoulders before you start training. If you're looking for a good wrist and shoulder warm-up routine, follow the link right here. And there you have it, guys. You now know everything there is to know about the crow pose. If anything here was not clear or you have additional questions, head down to the comments below and let me know. Also, do let me know while you're there what you want to learn next and what else are your goals. Keep me posted about your training, and I'm going to see you next time.